This book is called Then Again, Maybe I Won't, and it is from award-winning author Judy Bling. While this book itself has not won any awards, Judy is a recipient of the American Library Association's Margaret A. Edwards Lifetime Achievement Award. So, while this book hasn't won awards, the author Judy has. The book centers around the life of Tony, and he is your typical 12-year-old boy, or 13-year-old boy, because he has his 13th birthday right on in the book. And he's your typical 13-year-old or 12-year-old boy. They originally live, he and his family, in Jersey City until his father invents a new electricity battery source thing, and he ends up selling it to a company, and they move to Rosemont, Long Island. Now, when they lived in Jersey, he lived with his mother, father, grandmother, and his older brother, Vinny, and his wife, Angie. And it is actually Angie's pregnancy that drives their father to pursue a person to try and buy his new invention, which is how they end up becoming pretty well off. Now, their family before was not poor, but they struggled to get by, I would say. But they had a pretty okay life in Jersey City. And once they get to Long Island, a lot of things change for them. Tony has a new group of friends that he's meeting, and he has new challenges that he didn't have before. One of his friends is a shoplifter, which Tony is not comfortable with at all. He also does other things that Tony's not exactly comfortable with. So while he's battling how he feels with this, with the issue of right and wrong, he's also battling just being a teenage boy and discovering that girls are cute. And there's also his family, who he has kind of grown apart from since moving, as he no longer feels like they really work together anymore. And he eventually ends up in therapy, which is the portion of the book that I chose to read from. In this spot, he's just talking with his therapist, Dr. Vogel, and he's been talking about his family and what they've been doing, and how he hasn't been getting along with his mother. And this is one of the last things that Tony says before they end the session. Sometimes I think that people can see inside me, that they know what I'm thinking and everything. I don't want anyone to know what I'm thinking. Like that time Joel called me a chicken. I didn't want to make that phone call. I know they can trace phone calls. So why should I care if Joel calls me a chicken? But you do? Yeah, I guess so. And another thing. Sometimes I wish we still lived in Jersey City. And other times I'm glad we don't. You know what? I like having plenty of money. Oh, I don't know what I want. And then that's pretty much where they end that therapy session, as his therapist tells him that they're out of time. And so you see from that he's dealing with Joel, and Joel is also the shoplifter, and how he feels with all these things that Joel is trying to get him to do that he's just not comfortable with. And he's not sure if he likes the move. He does on one hand, but on the other hand he doesn't, which is something that a lot of kids who have recently gone through a move can struggle with. And in terms of extensions, when I looked at Judy's website, she had a section where she talked about the thought process she had for each book. And she said that she thought of this one when she was writing Dear God, It's Me, Margaret. And after she finished that book, she thought, hey, I wonder what this would be like if it was from a guy's perspective. which is where she got the idea to write Then Again Maybe I Won't from 13-year-old Tony's perspective. So I think it would be interesting to take a section of the book, you don't have to rewrite the whole book obviously, but take a section of the book and write it from a teenage girl's perspective. What do they think would happen, or how do they think a girl would have reacted to some of the things that Tony experiences? Or if you have another short story that you would rather use, or if you want to just, since the author is a female and the main character is a boy, maybe you want to give each student a story that has a main character with the opposite gender, or with their gender, and then they have to write it in the opposite gender. Just whatever you think is best. There's a couple different ways you could go at that. But all in all, I think it is a very good book for students to read. It's very interesting, and I actually chose it because it was from the perspective of a guy, and I tend to go for ones that are from the perspective of a girl, and I was very glad that I did, and I would definitely recommend it.